Greetings everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm here with a very interesting lesson in which we'll be discussing about the growth and development of three neighboring countries and understanding how the difference in the economic strategies and planning ended up making one of these countries a superpower, other a developing nation, and finally a country that has been mounted with debt. India and Pakistan ended up getting independence in the year 1947, and it was closely followed by Pakistan, China in the year 1949. What I'm trying to explain by giving you these dates is that all of these countries started off from a similar platform, and despite having the similar time where the economic growth took place, the different trajectories they've gone to. One becoming a superpower, other a developing nation, and finally a country that has been mounted with debt. And it is very interesting to understand that the basis of their economy is similar because all of these three countries relied on 5 year planning as their core model for economic growth and strategies. India ended up establishing its 5 years plan in 1951. It was closely followed by China in the year 1953, and and after that it was followed by Pakistan in the year 1956. Along with that, all of these countries gave public enterprises the flagship role in the economy, and the private sector enterprises were given the secondary role in the economy. Despite having the similar economic basis, it is very amusing to see the different trajectories these three countries have gone to. And if we study all of these countries separately, we might better be able to understand the reasons why. First, let us discuss about the growth and development of India. India ended up getting independence in the year 1947. And after that, the economists and the strategists of India wanted India to have an economy that had the merits of both socialism and capitalism, while neither having these demerits of both. So we Indians ended up coming with mixed economy as our economic basis. And we Indians ended up giving public sector enterprises the flagship role in the economy, while the private sector enterprises were given the secondary role in the economy. India, my dear friends, was also an inward looking economy. What I mean by saying inward looking economy was an economy that we were trying to be self reliant. We didn't want to open up our borders to the rest of the world. And the reason for that was that we wanted to preserve our traditional culture. Because when the borders open up and the goods start flowing in the economy, somewhere the traditional culture ends up getting faded away. All of this looked amazing. The agricultural revolution took place, the green revolution took place, and the irrigational facilities, and with the help of the high yielding variety of seeds, our output also ended up increasing drastically. And along with that, the growth in the iron and steel industries ended up providing a backbone to the country that was needed at that time. And while all of this looked honky dory from the outside, all of this was looking impeccable from the outside, but the story inside was very different. India's public sector enterprises were failing at a very fast rate. The losses were getting mounted on top of each other. Along with that, our GDP was falling at a very fast rate. Our forex reserves were depleting, and India was in a situation that it was in a huge debt, and it was forced by the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank that either open up the borders or they'll be facing the repercussions of not paying back the debt. And it was in the year 1990 where our then finance minister Shri Manmohan Singh ji, who ended up becoming the prime minister of the country as well, opened up the economy of India. And in the year 1990 we ended up introducing the liberalization, globalization, and privatization. And it was at this time India's economy started to take up that pace. There was a boost in their economy, and at the present time, thanks to these three laws, India has a GDP equaling $9 trillion. And when you look at this number, you get shocked that it's such an amazing number. And $9 trillion is so huge, and if you compare it to the GDP of Pakistan, which is just 1/10 of that of India, you're able to understand how far we've come and how fast we've grew. But when we compare it with the GDP of China, which is $22 trillion, that's when a question should come in our mind: that what was the difference in their economic planning? What different that they what different did they do that they ended up having an economy of $22 trillion and we are still at $9 trillion? Now we'll be discussing about this, but let's first discuss about the development strategy of Pakistan as a country. Pakistan, like India, gained independence in the year 1947, and most of its economic strategies have been similar to that of India. Pakistan was also a mixed economy like India. It also was an inward looking economy that imposed high taxes on the goods that were imported from the outside to preserve the culture. It gave the flagship role to the public sector enterprises, while the private sector enterprises were giving the secondary role. It was a country in which the Green Revolution took place at the similar time of that of India, but like India, its public sector enterprises also started mounting losses. And they also had to move and shift from an inward looking economy to an outward looking economy. And their economy grew at a very fast rate. In fact, it's a quick fact, and it's a very interesting fact for us to analyze, that in the year 1980, Pakistan's GDP was more than that of India, and the growth rate of GDP was more than that of India. And it was expected that Pakistan was a land of endless opportunities, and it will grow at a very fast rate. And a country that had so much potential, a country having the growth rate of GDP more than that of India, it's very amusing to see that that country that could have reached I don't know where is right now in such a poor condition that it has been mounted with debt and it is in an economic crisis. Now a question arises in our mind that how can a country reach to such situation? A country that was so promising. And the reasons for that are simple, my dear friends. First of all, the GDP and the forex reserves of Pakistan started to fall at a very fast rate, and Pakistan did not act intelligently. Secondly, Pakistan's government has always been extremely unstable. In fact, I'll give you a quick fact, none of the Pakistan's government has completed one complete term. And that shows the instability of the government throughout the years, and it has an impact on the economy. Along with that, thirdly, Pakistan did not invest in its infrastructural facilities the way they should have. Despite India and Pakistan having the similar time where the Green Revolution took place, Pakistan did not invest in the high yielding variety of seeds and the irrigational facilities that had a huge impact, huge blow on Pakistan. Because agriculture for both of these countries was the primary source of employment and the primary source of income. And these were several of the reasons why Pakistan, a country that had immense potential and could have grown more than India, might have had a GDP more than India, is right now in a situation whose GDP is just 1/10 of that of India, and it is a country that is currently placed in a severe economic crisis. Now that we've discussed about India and Pakistan, let us now discuss about the country that played its cards extremely intelligently and how their economic growth has ended up making them the superpower of the world with a GDP of a whopping $22 trillion. Let's now discuss about China. China got its independence in the year 1949. And China, after it got independence, it ended up allotting the control of the economy to the government. That means that they followed the command economy system. Now a question might arise in our mind is that what is command economy system? So command economy system is a system in which the government decides what to produce, how to produce, and for whom to produce. The growth and development of China can be divided into two phases. Phase 1 is the pre-1978 phase, and phase 2 is the post-1978 phase. Let's first discuss about the major revolution that took place in the pre-1978 phase. The initiative taken by the Chinese government in the pre-1978 phase was the Great Leap Forward. The main motive of the Great Leap Forward was to encourage civilians to set up backyard industries to promote industrialization and manufacturing in the country. And along with that, in the Great Leap Forward, they ended up bringing an agricultural revolution in which they brought commune system into play. And more than 26,000 communes were built. And it is very fascinating to understand that all the growth that took place during this period, be it the household industries or be it the agricultural system, it was done with the Russian assistance. And after China had a fallout with Russia, it is natural that the growth of industrial revolution slowed down a little bit. But what was even worse for China at that time was that it ended up, experiencing a severe drought that led to the death of more than 30 million people. And even though this was very unfortunate, one positive outcome that came out of the Great Leap Forward was the Industrial Revolution that took place. And now let's discuss about the post 1978 phase. And it includes two: the first phase of economic development, and secondly, the second phase of economic development. In the first phase of economic development, the Chinese government got rid of the commune system, and they wanted to initiate a new process in which they fragmented the land and gave small land holdings to the Chinese civilians. And these Chinese civilians ended up acting as the tenants to the Chinese government, which were the landlord of the entire Chinese landmass. And in the second phase of economic development, China, gave that liberty to that private sector enterprises and that freedom to those private sector enterprises that they could have the liberty to decide on what to produce, how to produce, and for whom to produce, excluding some of the industrial sectors and the agricultural sectors in which the price was set by the Chinese government. All the other goods and all the other industries were now, managed by the market forces of demand and supply. And this was the phase that actually gave China that boost and, ended up making the epicenter of the manufacturing industry of the world. It is important to note that unlike India and Pakistan, China was not forced by anyone to either open their economy or change their economic policies. In fact, all the economic policies and the economic transactions made by China have been done by the own free will of the Chinese government. It's contradicting to India and Pakistan because we were ordered by the World Bank and the IMF to open up our economies. But in China, the things have been different because the economic transactions and the decisions, they have been taken on the own free will of China. And along with that, my dear friends, the huge investment in healthcare and infrastructure helped in boosting up the Chinese economy in manifolds. And along with that, the FDI, that stands for foreign direct investment, acted as the solution to all of the problems for China and helped in China becoming the epicenter of the manufacturing industry of the world. With this, we are done with today's lesson. I hope you enjoyed the lesson. In today's lesson, we thoroughly discussed about the growth and development of three neighboring countries, and understood how the difference in their economic journey has led to one becoming a superpower, other a developing nation, and finally a country that has been mounted with debt. If you like the video, don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and don't forget to press the bell icon so that you never miss a video whenever I post a new one. Thank you so much and take care.